Thank you, Mr. Greening. Comments from other commissioners?
Yes, I actually would like to take an opportunity to comment here. First of all, regarding Ms. Fullwood's comment, an earlier public comment that I missed regarding Los Osos, Ms. Fullwood, I just wanted to briefly comment on that discrepancy or seeming discrepancy you pointed out. I did say indeed that I think the step process could work. I did say also very clearly several times I didn't think it was the best way to go. Our job here is to make calls on what we see as the best way to go, and I voted not to have it on the table because I didn't see it as the best way to go. So that's a brief answer to that one. Responding to these items here, I'd like to echo Mr. Greening's comments. They were the things going through my head here, first of all. First of all, in regards to the grand jury reports, no misconduct was found, so I'm not sure what the reading is here on the reports. Some changes have been recommended, and as we've heard from council and staff, some of those have been taken up and acted upon, and some have not for good reasons. So no wrongdoing was found. If somehow wrongdoing, doing your job and looking deeply into things and discussing issues is wrongdoing, I don't know what kind of process we have here. So that really gets me into the bigger point, and I want to bring it out now before public comment, because it's very troubling to sit up here and take attacks on individuals rather than discussing the issues. We have some big issues here and some legitimate differences in how we want to get where we want to go, but we need to stick to those issues, and somehow attacking attacking each other isn't a very productive way to go about it. As we get into our next item, which most all of you are here for, we're going to hear some of this. I'll discuss the conflict that's been charged against me, which I think doesn't have a lot of merit, and I'll just remind us that it's not a productive way to go to attack individuals rather than discuss the legitimate issues before us. So as we proceed, I hope that's what we can do.
Thank you, Commissioner Wyatt. We do have a great deal of business to conduct today, and I don't want to spend a lot of time responding to this, but there were some specific statements that were made in the record that I think need to be addressed and corrected. First of all, the question that we have somehow violated the Brown Act by circulating my suggested edits or anyone's suggested edits to a long-range planning document ahead of the hearing, I really would like to strike that down. That's something we have done in the past. That's something we specifically discussed and decided to do with respect to the current conservation and open space element. All suggested edits and drafts have been sent to all commissioners and staff and posted on the website and made available to the public. It's been the conclusion of this commission and previous commissions that that's the most productive, effective way to conduct our business in these types of matters. And again, with respect to, in the no good deed goes unpunished column, the question of somehow it being inappropriate for a planning commissioner to contact a staff person from a state agency with respect to a project that's pending before this commission, which is precisely what I did with respect to the sand and gravel mines, when I saw that there was no comment letter from the Department of Fish and Game in our packet, that's been compared to an airstrike and various other inflammatory suggestions. The grand jury found nothing wrong with that. I find nothing wrong with that. Staff hasn't found anything wrong with that. The fact that that letter contained critical information that led to the commission unanimously finding that the report was inadequate and therefore needed an EIR is simply a product of the process. The inverse of that would have been to go ahead without the adequate information and come to a different conclusion, which would have been, by definition, an uninformed conclusion. And that's not how this commission has ever done business, and I hope it never is how this commission does business. So with that, we'll go on to our first hearing item, and we'll ask the clerk to announce hearing item number 1.
Continued request by the County of San Luis Obispo to to amend Section 22.30.610 of Title 22, the Land Use Ordinance, and Section 23.08.248 of Title 23, the Coastal Zone Land Use Ordinance relating to events. County File Number LRP 2004-00016. All supervisorial districts. Karen Knoll, Project Manager.
Good morning, Commissioners. Karen Knoll with the planning staff. I thought I'd first take a quick moment to go back through the history of this project just for, I believe we have a new audience. Back in 2004, the Board of Supervisors directed planning staff and the tax collector's office to work on the event ordinance to simplify the process for large events, 3,000 or more people. Then back in 2002, the Board of Supervisors directed planning staff to start amendment processes for ag tourism, specifically to help agriculturalists diversify and find ways to, other ways to market their products. Staff then created with the assistance of the Ag Commissioner's Office, created a ag tourism work group. That group met multiple times, and they also created a subcommittee, an event subcommittee. That event subcommittee met multiple times and came up with some recommendations for changes to the event ordinance. Planning staff, with the assistance of the Ag Commissioner's Office, created a draft. We brought that draft to you back in May of 2008. Since then, we've come here I believe it's been 5 times at this point. The commission, your commission, also created a subcommittee which met multiple times and made amendments to that original draft back in May of 2008. Then the last meeting was this February. Your commission directed staff to use a version that was created by the Ag Tourism Coalition. So that is the draft that we have before you today. With that, staff, there's a number of items that I've highlighted in the staff report which need your consideration. First of all is you directed staff and the version that the Ag Tourism Coalition has prepared directed a prohibition on events in the ag category. So that is a big item for your discussion that staff will need direction on. The second is the permit table for special events. You directed us to use a table which, in staff's opinion, is not usable, and we would suggest you go a different tact on that. The third item is we would need direction on how many events you want to limit each site. And then the fourth is permit timeframes. Your commission has directed this current draft that each event, each event permit would be only good for 1 year, which is quite a departure from the way planning department issues permits. And we need additional direction on how that's gonna work. And then I just wanted to take a few minutes to go through some of the maybe misinformation that is floating out there on what this event ordinance will affect. And it will not affect private weddings or parties held on private property. And it will not affect events at weddings, approved events at weddings. I'm sorry, at wineries. Okay. Little tongue-tied here. With that, I'm available for questions, and again, staff would request some direction on how you want to go from here.